One of the toughest things for me to justify as a new climber was buying climbing shoes because I saw price tags upwards of $200, $250, but my local gym was having a sale on used climbing shoes for $5. Can a $5 pair of climbing shoes be just as good as a $200 pair of climbing shoes? Well, let's find out. So here's what we got. These are the climbing shoes that I've been using. I spent over $200 on these. These are the $5 pair of climbing shoes. They were in the used bin, $5. You can't go wrong with that, right? So here's how we're gonna test it. I'm gonna try 5 different grade levels with both shoes and see what I notice.
Nice.
It's super important to also note that I get it. Grades are really different from gym to gym, but my gym is consistent that a V1 is going to be easier than a V2 or a V3. So this first climb, it is on a slight overhang and requires a heel hook. I thought this would be a really good test for the climbing shoes. Now this is rated at a V3. Of course, you're gonna say to yourself, oh, this is a V1 at my gym. I hear that all the time, and that is okay, because this is just the easiest route that we're gonna try. Next up is high shoe. So what I did notice is that the low shoe, they are older and they are far more used than my shoes. My shoes are really only about 4 months old, but who knows how old the $5 pair of shoes are. I noticed that the rubber is a little bit corroded in a few places, including the toe and the heel, and it's just smoother, and the old shoes just don't grip as well as the new shoes. And here's the second climb. I thought it was important to get something kind of slabby, something with some small toe chips and some things that I really need to put a lot of pressure on. So this is high shoe, and just like I expected, the small toe chips were really easy to step on. The shoes were super grippy and clung on like none other. This route is rated a V4 at this particular gym, and I think that it's just a different style than the first route that we tried, so that's also really important to note. But of course, high shoe made it easy. Now, here is low shoe, and again, I'm putting a ton of pressure onto these really small toe chips with this old rubber, and I noticed that it was way more sticky than I expected it to be. I also heard that if I used a little bit of sandpaper on the shoes, then maybe it would make it even more sticky, kind of like how the new shoes are. But I found no problem getting up onto it, and this piece of slab has a few moves that require a lot of trust for the feet, and it was good to go. Now here's the third climb. This is rated a V7, and it is a little bit less technical and a lot more strength intensive, but here are low shoes, required a high step up left, and there is a lot of body tension in it and a little bit of trust that I need to put into the shoes, especially on this next hold. You see here that there's a little switch foot, an intermediate hold that I tried to skip because I didn't trust these shoes as much as I tried my shoes. But that might not necessarily be because they were $5 shoes. It's just because I haven't climbed in them very much. Now here's high shoe, and I climbed it after I used low shoe, of course, and I realized that I actually skipped that intermediate hold again, because even with these more expensive shoes that I've used a lot, I didn't trust them on that hold. So that might just be my own climbing fault, and that's okay. That is something that I'm gonna have to learn to do, is trust my feet a bit more. So here's what we learned. Is it worth it to buy a $200 pair of shoes? Well, I got my use out of those $200 pair of shoes, but I also get that that is a big barrier for people to get into bouldering. And I think a ton more people would get into it if there's a good $5 pair of shoes. Now here is the bottom line. Those $5 pair of shoes retail for close to $170, which is ridiculous, but they were used and I found them in a bin. And not every gym is going to have a $5 pair of used $170 shoes. I completely get that. So trying to look for those deals is really important, but also exploring your options of knowing, okay, there are some different shoes that are on the budget end that are going to be adequate. So here's the conclusion. What was better for the money? The $5 pair of shoes or the $200 pair of shoes? Well, for me, I think the best bang for the buck were the $5 shoes. They won hands down because I climbed a V7, or what my gym calls a V7, in a $5 pair of shoes, and they felt great. They were sticky and they did exactly what a pair of climbing shoes should do. But here's the deal. You gotta climb in whatever you can get. And if you can afford a $200 pair of shoes, then good for you. But if you can't, then there are opportunities to find a decent pair of cheap shoes. Check eBay, check even Goodwill, or check another used equipment store, or even check the REI garage sale. So with that being said, we are close to 1,000 subscribers, and that is super exciting. And pretty soon, hopefully, we get to that 1,000 mark, and we're going to have a Q&A giveaway where we give away a $50 gift card to a subscriber. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead and drop a like. Subscribe helps make more content like this. Thanks. I appreciate it.